Welcome back to another exciting episode of Meanwhile Back on the Podcast. I'm Frank McGuire.
I'm Saba Mir.
I'm Chris Abana.
I'm Christina Dudumas.
Welcome back, everybody. We have got a great episode lined up for you guys today. We are continuing our Dead in Development series, which focuses on comic book movies that could have been, films that never made it past the page. Well, in part one, we covered Daredevil, The Man Without Fear, the 1997 film treatment that Marc Dematteis worked on for Chris Columbus. Well, this is going to be part two of Daredevil, The Man Without Fear. So if you haven't heard part one, definitely go back and listen to part one and then come back and listen to part two. But before we get into that, I just want to thank you guys. Thank you for spending your time with us. Thank you for supporting our show. We really appreciate it. Whether you're a longtime listener or this is your first time tuning in, we appreciate you guys all the same. But if you are a first-time listener, let me tell you a little bit about who we are and what our show is about. We are a fandom culture, speculative fiction loving collective, and each week we'll share our brand of raw, hard-hitting commentary, news, film, and game reviews from all your most beloved corners of fandom. Now, we rarely see eye to eye on these things, but unanimously, we all champion open, nuance, and thoughtful conversation when discussing our favorite made-up shit. Meanwhile is your one-stop shop for everything a growing fan person needs, without all those nasty preservatives. Now, with that said, we're about to hit the music and get things started. But before we do, check out this quick preview of what's coming up on today's show. They're hitting it off. Matt and Elektra go skiing, and Elektra takes him, and well, first, she's shocked at how well he can ski for a blind man. Well, duh. Okay? Like, again,
yeah. Stop giving it away. Stop giving it away, Matt.
Exactly. When you're dealing with a blind hero, like a blind protagonist, you have to give them things that are believable that they can do. Like, this is like putting Matt in a Formula One car and being like, hey, buddy, let's see how you do here. Yeah, it's in her boot. It's in her boot. She has a sigh in her boot.
I love that she has to be half naked.
Yeah, I like how it says half naked, clutching a sigh, animal ferocity in her eyes.
Yeah, I left that out. Animal ferocity.
I love that she grabbed the sigh from her boot and didn't put on the boots. Like, it's right there. Just
or like
put it on, put on your clothes.
Yeah, you're going outside. There's snow. It's gotta be cold. What the hell?
Meanwhile, back on the podcast, four colossal nerds named Saba, Chris, Christina, and Frank have set out to take on a great darkness that has enveloped the world of fandom with their powers of common sense and the strength to take on even the most butthurt Twitter mobs and insufferable comment section trolls. They fight for truth, objectivity, and nuance in the conversation and debate over fictional made-up shit.
I'm really excited to get into the second act of this treatment. I think the second act is kind of where all the meat and potatoes are in this story. All the really exciting stuff kind of goes down. Not that the first act wasn't fantastic as far as the development of the Matt Murdock character and Jack Murdock. And I think we all kind of loved the dynamic between Matt and Jack and their relationship. And the introduction of the Kingpin was pretty cool. But yeah, let's get into this. So where we left off was we were Matt, Karen Page, and Foggy were at this gala that's being held for the Vanessa Fisk Foundation at the top of New York, which is Kingpin's apartment building. So it's in his house. And the three of them are standing around talking, and Matt wonders aloud to Karen and Foggy, why were we even invited to this thing? And they can feel a large presence behind him, and this presence says, you were invited because I know talent when I see it. And they spin around, and there's Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin. And he's approaching them, accompanied by his lieutenant, John Mackey, and the Nachioses, so Elektra and Nikos. Kingpin tells Matt he has no hard feelings against him, and Matt's kind of reading him, trying to figure him out. So Fisk is trying to impress Matt. He offers Matt a job. Matt's not buying his bullshit. He can kind of read him because Matt has that power. Matt has the power to detect when someone is being deceitful. And he's not really feeling this dude. He kind of feels like he's totally fucking slimy. He even, Marc Dematteis even kind of makes the comparison to Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life, the Christmas movie. Like the meeting between George Bailey and Mr. Potter was very much like the Matt and, Wilson Fisk kind of meeting. So as Kingpin's walking away, Matt says, "Have you ever heard of battling Jack Murdoch?" And Kingpin spins back around and he says, "Should I have?" So that's kind of an interesting interaction that Kingpin doesn't even remember his father.
Yeah, I couldn't
after killing
tell
him.
if he did know that he did that and was just kind of denying it, or if he
was taunting him.
I don't know. I feel like he knew what.
I think that he probably doesn't know him. You know what I mean? I think there's so many people that he does this all the time.
True.
He doesn't even take them out personally. Other people do it for him. So I feel like he's just like, oh. Like, why would I know who that is? Like, that person's too small.
That makes more sense, but I always like to think that he's like taunting him. It's probably not true.
Yeah.
But I like the idea.
Yeah,
of
I like
him,
it as a taunt as well.
Yeah, because Kingpin would kind of, it would be the type that has all the information in his head. He's that kind of a person. And I think I think he's taunting him here. I like it better anyway, but it's probably more probable that he just doesn't know.
I think we've seen that with the character in the TV series, haven't we? Where he's like, he's knowledgeable of something. He gets confronted about it, and he kind of just slyly lets it roll off of his shoulders. I think we've seen that a couple times actually in the TV series. So I'm going to go with.
If you were a criminal, you would do that. You would just deny everything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So the hottest chick in the place, Elektra, rolls up to him and says, "Our Mr. Fisk is quite a guy." I'm kind of paraphrasing here. And she takes him by the hand and leads him out onto the terrace. And this is like the first kind of interaction that we have between Matt and Elektra. And apparently their chemistry is like totally off the fucking chain. Like they're totally into each other. Elektra is telling Matt about the time that she was kidnapped by Baron von Strucker and how the Kingpin kind of saved her. And that's how she knows her. And when she's telling him about her mother's death as a result of Strucker kidnapping her. And, Matt's really feeling her. It's like a very kindred spirit thing. And at this point,
so I was like, don't you think that's a lot for a first meeting to say? Like anyone else, if you were on a first date and you just were like, okay, so I was kidnapped at this age.
Yes.
Also, this guy saved my life.
Yeah.
And then you know what I mean? And it's not even that. They just met in this room. And I really love the line that you were saying, because in the actual treatment, it says there's such heat between them. It's a wonder they don't burn up. So it's just a lot of tension, I guess.
I've been smitten by
that.
someone at a party or something like that before too. So I kind of get that feeling. And I even like the adjectives that the writer used here. It kind of makes it pop. He was like, she looks radiant, glorious, like royalty. And then even how he describes Kingpin is interesting. He says he's something darkly charming, utterly seductive. So I thought that was interesting.
Ooh, I do like that.
I like the use of the adjectives.
Yeah, I think, Chris, tell me if you agree with this. I think Kingpin is basically Al Capone on steroids. I think Al Capone was kind of the inspiration for him, That's my take. I don't know if that's true. I can't remember who the creator of Kingpin was.
Really
I think it was
hard.
Stan Lee. But
it's really hard
I feel
to
like he's
write
Al
a mob
Capone on
boss without,
steroids.
Basing it even a little bit on Al Capone. You know what I mean? He's kind of he's the gold standard
100%
for writing that sort of stuff. But yeah, I can definitely see that for sure.
He's kind of the prototype for sure, right? So Matt and Elektra take to the dance floor and all eyes are on them. Everybody's looking at them. They look so good together. Everybody's just blown away by them. And we just, from this, we cut to Coney Island. And there's roller coasters. It's the pier. There's carnival games. And there's this dude. And okay, so in the treatment, it said fat guy. I wrote fairly obese because I wanted to be somewhat sensitive.
This is where a fat man in all caps lock.
Yeah, this is the 90s. This is the 90s.
I know.
Get away with
Fat
that.
man.
But I also thought it was such a funny jump to go from this fancy party to the carnival at Coney Island. I was like, wait a second, did I just miss something when I was reading that?
Well, I think he ended the scene on a high note. He puts them on the dance floor. Everybody's staring at them. That's a high note to go out on, right?
And I'm picturing a very choreographed dance as well.
Me too.
Oh,
me
too.
Super choreographed.
Like
Me
ballroom
too.
dancing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's dips, there's spin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
got everything.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that stuff going on.
This scene really like highlights like this kind of ballsy attitude of this entire treatment. It really feels like they're writing a script based on a pre-established universe, right? Like as if like Elektra has been established in a different movie, as if Daredevil has been around for a while, and like Fisk doing his thing. Like it always it feels really ballsy to me how like deep they go into these people as if we already know their backstory. Like Elektra and Daredevil getting along so fast in every like in literally every scene that they're in. The first meeting of every scene, they're always like, I don't know. Doesn't that feel like that to you guys?
Can I? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, Chris. Sorry. Can I add to that? I was gonna say I think that Marc Dematteis, because he's a comic book writer, he's trying to do good by the source material, right? Like he's gone and picked the most prolific Daredevil characters out of the entire Daredevil pantheon, right?
Yeah.
He's got Kingpin, he's got Elektra, he's got, Matt Murdock and Foggy and Karen Page.
Bullseye.
Like he's taken everybody, and I think he's just trying to give us a film that basically touched all those kind of, those buttons, right? Pressed all those buttons. Sorry, I said touch, but pressed all those buttons,
I tell you, if this movie actually came out, like it would have probably propelled comic book movies faster than
I agree.
what? Yeah. Because it really like does that whole thing where it's like I don't have to justify my characters doing their thing. They exist in this world and get over it. Like just don't worry about backstory. So like yeah, if this movie actually came out, I think it would have done justice to at least Marvel, like Marvel, and we probably would have gone to MCU much earlier. I think.
Yeah.
I feel like the characters are so rich and full that they don't almost need an introduction. Like I feel like I'm okay with learning about who they are as I read, kind of thing. If I didn't know who they were, and
sure.
I do feel like since this is before all the MCU stuff and all that, it does kind of feel like they're writing characters that maybe to a comic book audience, and maybe that would have been their intended audience for the movie, because MCU hadn't already set that precedent of doing like a more general audience kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, Christine, I think you make a great point, because I think after you meet Elektra, the way you meet Elektra, like dancing across the New York skyline or, crossing the Twin Towers on a fucking rope, like, how can you not be just blown away? Like, that's one of the most ambitious character introduction scenes I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything.
It almost feels absurd. It almost feels absurd, but it would depend on everything leading up to it and how they show it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Like that, how it's shot, how the actress portrays it. There's a lot riding on it because it could totally come across. It totally could come across as being absurd. And then even like, her meeting with Daredevil for the first time or second time where they're at the ball, like how she just kind of grabs him without even knowing him, and then has all this conversation and like kind of like word vomits her whole past. Like, and he kind of does the same. Like, we accept it because we know the comics, but if you're not a fan going in, it would have to be done in more like a subtle way. And it's interesting. It would be interesting to see how they would do something like that.
See, like I actually like I would almost kind of speculate that if this movie actually came out, like a lot of it wouldn't have worked, but it would have broken down a lot of barriers that future MCU movies would have just like been okay to do. So like that whole thing with what Christina said, it's like that whole thing is such a huge risk with Elektra's introduction. That's kind of like the really like the forward thing to do, and it would have been a risk, and I bet you anything it wouldn't have worked, and it would have like taken a lot of the majority of the audience like aback. They would have been like, what is this, like who is this girl, like what am I even seeing? There's no justification for her character. But like that being said, now future MCU movie like that kind of like breaks the seal on tropes like that, and now they can do stuff because the MCU is full of that, right? There's a lot of characters that get introduced very bluntly, namely Hawkeye. Hawkeye was like this like thing that came out of nowhere, and he was just like a side, like an extra character that showed up out of nowhere with a bow and arrow, and it was like this like abrupt entrance. And like this type of scene that we see in this treatment would have like godfathered essentially the start of those kinds of justification scenes. Not only that, like just scenes in general where, because before in the 90s, if you guys remember, like they had to justify every little thing that like, because comic books are outrageous, right? Like they do a lot of like things that would never happen in real life. So in the old movies, they always have to justify it, always have to bridge it with like real life like reality essentially. And but now they don't have to do that. And this kind of stuff would like, this movie would have been the thing to like trailblaze into that realm where they could just do outrageous things and everybody's just like, yep, this is a superhero movie. I'm okay with it. I don't know.
It would trailblaze if it was a success.
No, I mean that's the thing. I think even if it failed, like, because we've had that, right? Like there was a lot of failures in the early comic book movies. Yeah. But the tropes remain, right? Like even if they did it wrong, like we as an audience can accept that as a tool of filmmaking that exists now for us, and then somebody else can take that same tool and make a success out of it, right? I don't know, that's my thought.
Actually, I got an example of a 90s movie that had just as shocking as the first scene for a female lead, Basic Instinct. When you meet Sharon Stone for the first time, Catherine What's-Her-Face, like literally she's doing the scene that she's infamous for. That's the first time you meet this fucking character. It's like, she doesn't wear underwear. Okay. Like that's how you start off your relationship with this character.
That was a great scene.
It's fantastic.
That's so 1990s too.
I know, but this is 1990s too, right? So, I think during those days you could make these insane over the top introduction scenes and nobody would bat an eye, right? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I have no idea, but that is a great example of something that kind of has the same, grandeur as the scene that we get with Elektra. Like, can you imagine telling the actress, so listen, when you first get introduced to the audience, you're going to be crossing the fucking Twin Towers. Like, it doesn't get crazier than that. It doesn't get crazier than that. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds very badass as well. Like, it is a very cool way.
Yeah, but that's kind of what she signed up for too, I guess. Like, whichever actress would play this would want to do that.
Yeah. Obviously, we could probably talk about this scene in Elektra, for quite a while, but let's move on. There's quite a lot to get into here. So we already mentioned that we're at Coney Island. There's this, fat dude guzzling beer, eating cotton candy, and he's at a shooting booth and he's hitting these things effortlessly. So obviously this is Bullseye in another disguise. They've already established that Bullseye wears disguises. They put him in a shooting booth to establish that as Bullseye, right? On the roller coaster, you've got the Russian mob boss. He's got two bimbos on both arms. He's having the hell of a time.
Is that what they say? Is it to say bimbo?
Tacky blondes.
Yeah, I guess that's tacky blonde.
I guess that's the definition. Okay, keep going.
Dematteis is an interesting writer.
Yeah, he is. He is. Hopefully we'll get him on the podcast one day. I'm still talking to that guy.
Oh my gosh,
yes. Yeah. So Bullseye downs his beer, tosses the cup, eats all his cotton candy, and then he moves to the underside cab of the Ferris wheel and he starts ascending the Ferris wheel. When he gets up to the top, he throws on a silencer, he takes aim, and then for some reason, it's not described in the treatment as to why he changed his mind, but he decides to jump from the Ferris wheel onto the roller coaster and then take his shot from the back of the roller coaster while it's fucking moving. And he's able to kill.
Well, he's drinking, right?
So another ballsy ass like thing to film. I would have loved to have seen Fat Bullseye jump from roller coaster to thing and then shoot someone. Wow.
It kind of feels like Austin Power-ish. It could come off that way.
Yeah.
Oh, Fat Bastard.
It's so risky.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But I think, like Christian said, he's under the influence. Also, I think they're really introducing him as some sort of agent of chaos here, like he can
without a doubt. He's a
in
Joker.
An easier, quieter way. But
Man, that's not a good thing, Frank. But I hate that Joker syndrome.
Me
that
too,
dude. When people don't know how to write, I think I said this in part 1. Back in the day when people didn't know how to write villains, they wrote Joker. And it's so annoying.
I agree.
Write your own. Yeah, but this Bullseye has its own different flavor for sure. But anyways, continue.
No,
So he
no, Chris.
shoots.
Chris, you make an excellent point about the reliance on the Joker archetype. I've seen it in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Like you remember Clarence Boddicker?
Yeah, like even Adam West, like even when Joker is on screen, all the other supervillains are Jokers. Like they're all just making jokes and like being like chaotic. Like the Riddler and the Penguin, they're all just one villain.
That's a good point.
Like I don't know, it was weird.
No, that's a good point, dude. I've never noticed that, but I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head. Yeah, no, and I was gonna say, Chris, to your point, do you remember the villain in RoboCop, Clarence Boddicker?
Vaguely.
The guy that he was played by the dad from 70s show?
Oh
yeah.
Way.
Was he?
Yeah, that's Clarence Boddicker.
I can't remember this movie now. I know I've seen it, but I can't piece this together.
Yeah, so I feel like he was kind of a Joker in a way, like the chaos over everything kind of philosophy, and there's no rhyme or reason to life, those type of characters. But like, no, you're right, Chris. When people can't write a good villain, they write the Joker. That's why I was so happy to see Thanos, because Thanos changed all that, right? Thanos brought complexity and philosophy.
Well, like that was, I was speaking more in like the early 90s and like the early like the 80s and stuff, when like mainly superhero movies. But yeah, like they've evolved. Thankfully, they've evolved in villain writing in the last like few. Well, I mean, like even early MCU, Blade even had a very nuanced villain. But yeah, I'm glad to see that's changed.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
too.
he shoots the Russian. Is it the Russian mob boss?
Yeah, it's the Russian mob boss and his bodyguards. They get killed. They get shot in the heart. All three of them. And then as he's trying to get away, everybody's freaking the fuck out. There's bodies all over the roller coaster. The women are losing their minds. So it's not so much the delicate and discreet affair that the Kingpin was hoping for. He didn't really hit those, he really didn't check those boxes on another kill. So I think this is going to cause a problem down the road. So he leaps from the coaster.
There's another little tidbit here.
What's that?
I just want to add, he's howling at them in mock Russian as he puts each bullet into their hearts.
True. Yeah, he's an asshole. He's a total asshole for sure. And then as he's making his escape, he leaps down from the coaster and he's being chased by mobsters, and he runs by one of those like those games where you throw baseballs at milk bottles, and he picks up the baseballs and he spins around and he just kills all three of them with the baseballs. Just like precision, like in the head, temple. I don't know where he hits them specifically, but he kills them with baseballs. Very bullseye kind of thing to happen. Very comic book thing to kind of happen.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, with the scenes, like, he does a really great job with describing them in the treatment, and I wonder what the rating would be on this. If it actually, like, really will go, gory,
Good
or
point.
is it just, going to be, PG-13, or, like, I would imagine they would want to get, like, a PG-13 rating, because obviously you want people to watch it, and then young people love superheroes, especially kids. So I wonder with like scenes like that, what that rating would end up being. I don't remember what the Daredevil rating was for Ben Affleck one, but it couldn't have been that high.
I think it was PG-13,
I feel like they used
wasn't
to be able
it, guys?
to get
I'm looking it up.
I just remember movies from the 90s. They were able to get away with a lot more. So in like a
100%.
PG-13 movie.
Yeah, I think the consensus online was that it was PG-13.
Okay. I figured it was PG-13 because I think that there's quite a bit of violence. Bullseye is pretty brutal. I think there's some blood. Like I know he kills doesn't he kill the priest in the church? Thought he did. Anyways.
The one scene they're talking about is a group of kids bully a kid by pushing him down. That doesn't seem like a scene that would be PG-13. But anyway, I'm sure there's reasons and stuff for that. Yeah. But no, all in all, that seems like a crazy sequence, especially because it's coming right after, this dance, this like ball scene, and then you just jump to this, and he kind of wreaks havoc on Coney Island.
He does. I like the emotional up and downs. I don't know about you guys, but I like this transition. I think this transition is strong, and it takes us into a very pivotal moment in the story. So Bullseye tears away his fat suit, dives into the water, swims out to a waiting boat, throws up his feet, to kind of bask in his victory, lights a cigar, and boom, his fucking boat explodes. So, is he dead? I don't know. But, yeah, so that happened.
He's not dead. We all know. He's not dead, right?
That seems like something out of James Bond.
Don't ruin it.
I'm just saying. We don't know. He could be. I've never read this before.
Well, I know what we're cutting out now. So as we move back to the charity ball, there's a quick scene between John Mackey and Wilson Fisk, but they're talking over the phone, I think. And Mackey says something about, Fisk says something about Mackey about, you're worried about Bullseye, don't worry about him anymore. So clearly the Kingpin is behind the death of Bullseye. She orchestrated the whole thing. Now, here's where we get to go full romantic comedy, maybe romantic drama, because Elektra has invited charming young Matt to come up to her country house in upstate New York with her father. And they kiss.
This is every Hallmark movie, Frank.
It is, isn't it? It is, isn't it? And it says at the end, like, this is very hidden in the treatment, but Matt and Elektra kiss and Fisk is watching. So
creepy.
Weird.
Very creepy.
That's creepy.
Very creepy. So Matt and Elektra, so Elektra takes Matt to this country house. Her dad's there. They have like security and they basically look like, a Mexican drug cartel vacationing. That's kind of what the scene is said here. And Nikos is like immediately just enamored and charmed by Matt to the point that he's opening up about his own criminal past. He's like telling him about all the bad shit that he did, and they're bonding and they're just, they're getting along,
But what if it's like, this is like daughter, like father? Like, what if this is just what they do? Like, they just like open up to people real quickly. Like, we just think it's just Matt, but really it's like anyone. It's, the guy who like delivers the paper, the guy who works down at the grocery store, the person who mans the gas station. Like, everybody knows.
I like that theory. That would make more sense.
It says...
Thanks for the mail. You want to hear about that time I got kidnapped by
And he's like, I've heard it
by
before,
Strucker?
sir.
It says...
You told me that yesterday, Elektra.
It says right on their family seal, no secrets.
Oh.
Oh, man. Too funny. Anyways, so they're hitting it off. Matt and Elektra go skiing. And Elektra takes him... And, well, first, she's shocked at how well he can ski for a blind man. Well, duh. Okay? Like, again...
Yeah. Stop giving it away. Stop giving it away, Matt.
Exactly. When you're dealing with a blind hero, like a blind protagonist, you have to give them things that are believable that they can do. Like, this is like putting Matt in a Formula One car and being like, hey, buddy, let's see how you do here. Like,
but
what
honestly,
the fuck?
This is like Lois going to the gym with Clark, and then he's like, oh, fuck this. I'm going to lift 5,000 pounds just to impress this girl. Like, okay. Come on,
but
Clark.
Like, honestly, like, I wonder how the conversation went for Elektra. I mean, like, I really like to ski. Can you ski? Or, like, you know what I mean? Like, who would suggest that? Do you, like, I'm sure
Although...
That would be insensitive if she questioned his ability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Although I have been surprised by people with disabilities doing amazing things.
Yeah.
Like that one kid that can like skateboard and rollerblade, and he's like completely blind.
That's true.
He developed like a echolocation with his like tongue. Really cool. He can play basketball.
Oh my goodness, I haven't seen that.
That's
You've
insane.
never heard of that? You never heard of this kid? He like learned how to echolocate, so he can like do anything. He can like play video games. He can. Well, I don't know about video games, but like he can play like. Oh no, I have seen a clip of him playing video games too, and he can like play basketball and like skateboard. It's really cool.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
So yeah,
Wow.
Matt could just like make something up like that. I mean, that's like exactly what Matt has, echolocation, right? So
Yeah.
pretty much.
But without clicking his
The
tongue.
other
I don't
thing-
think I've ever seen a Daredevil scene where he's like, click, click, click. There you are.
yeah.
So they ski off to this romantic cabin on their property. They have another cabin on the property. Baller.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no, totally baller, right? And they're sharing
Only
some.
because Matt and Electra have to be alone.
The
Yeah.
what? Yes, exactly.
Because her
It's
dad,
because they have to be alone.
like her dad just can't be like in the other room. And you're like, hey, what are you two kids doing in there? Anyway, they're at the cabin. Sorry, Frank.
Yeah, it's okay. So they're sharing some intimate moments, but it says in the treatment that they want to sleep with each other, but they don't want to do it too early. But Matt really doesn't have the best track record right now as far as, when to do things in
Pacing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pacing in a relationship. Matt does not have the best record, and that's even going to get worse as we move into this story.
I think he's got the best record. He's got both Elektra and her father falling in love with him in like
That's true.
2 seconds flat.
That is true.
So I don't
That's
know about that.
That's true, dude. No, that's
Anyways,
a good point.
so
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And as they're sharing this intimate moment where they're not going to have sex with each other, a group of armed men have now come onto the property and they're storming towards the mansion wearing snow camo. So it's basically True Lies. It's a scene out of True Lies where all the guys were wearing snow camo.
Great movie.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I didn't mind it. Matt gives into the intensity of this moment. Like everything is so intense and everything is at such a high bar. He decides, I'm not going to sleep with this girl, but what I will do is I'll propose to her. So he proposes to Electra
Jeez.
right then and there, slips the ring onto her finger, but Jean-Marc never makes it clear whether she says yes or no, as they fall asleep in each other's arms.
She doesn't take it off. So either. So there's an implied yes to that, but it is, one could say a little quick.
Do you know how many internet fail videos there are of implied yeses, where the girl will be wearing the ring and then change her mind? Like it totally happens.
No, I can't watch. I can't.
Well, this is like super fast. And like, how does she know she doesn't? How does he know that she's not just gonna steal the ring at this point?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't actually say anything. He pulls this out. He says it's really old. It belonged to his mother. Maybe she just wants to take it. She never said yes.
Well,
she just asked him if he has secrets.
She's like, do you have any secrets? And he's like, no. I know. And it's like, like a very suggestive.
Know, like, what if he? But you don't know if he leaves socks around the apartment. You don't know if he like closes the cupboard. Like you don't know these things.
You don't know if he poops with the door open. Like none of these things, right? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
You don't know if he wants to do
like their first date, isn't it?
It's literally the first date, dude.
Man.
It's literally the first date.
Yeah, I feel like this is a bit corny. This whole cabin thing is a bit cheese.
Yeah.
I think it would be fine without the ring. I think that, but then I do understand that could come into play later. I do like sort of thing because it sort of serves as like a memento. People can have like instant chemistry, and the scene seems very sensual, really, from the way it's written.
It does.
So like a heat of the moment thing, but obviously, it is quick. And for Matt, I guess it's maybe a little different because he saw her first and knew it was Elektra, whereas Elektra hasn't put 2 and 2 together yet on his side, which is kind of interesting. But
yeah, he can ski, but he's not Daredevil. Don't worry about it. He's the only blind guy.
He has the same billy club.
Sure.
Doesn't he carry that billy club everywhere?
Well, maybe not in this treatment. We don't know about the billy club thing. However, I have a question. If a woman's dating a blind guy, isn't it within her rights to ask her if he likes to do anything freaky with that cane?
What are you talking about? What, Frank?
That's within every person's right to ask if
exactly.
if the person they're dating is doing wants to do something kinky.
Yeah, let's not make it a blind person thing.
Like
let's just make it a person thing. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying, oh my God, I'm not being discriminatory. I'm saying,
okay.
In the context of Elektra and Matt, like before you marry the guy, wouldn't you want to know if he'd like to get freaky with the cane? Like, because maybe that's something you're not into,
like anybody,
right?
We would. Yeah, I mean, that's anyone you'd be marrying. You'd want to know what they're.
God, you guys have no imagination.
Okay.
I just feel like that's gonna result in injuries.
No, Frank, I just think maybe the quarantine is getting to you, man.
Good injuries.
Saba, there's a good chance of that. Yes, there's a good chance of that. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the fucking world falling down all around our ears, right? Nothing. But yeah. So as this is taking place, as this proposal is going down, Nachos' security is being taken out like super ninja stealth style. Like silencers, just like pat, 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 pat. Guys are falling all over the place as these snow camo guys are making their way to the house. Matt's alerted by gunfire. I guess one guy forgot his silencer. And and he bolts awake.
He's got supersonic hearing.
That's true.
He can hear silencers.
That's true. He can he? Yeah. Wow. Okay. You're right. More cars are driving up to the house and the cars are emptying. More armed men are getting out. They're waging battle against Nikos' security with these unknown assailants. Nikos heads to his bedroom and grabs a fucking hunting rifle. And then he's set upon by this hooded assassin with a gun. And exactly. And bam! Billy Club comes out of nowhere, knocking the gun from his hand. It's Daredevil. He grabs Nikos to get him out. Nikos is like, where's my daughter? Is she okay? Blah, 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 blah. And Dee Dee's like, don't worry. She's safe. So, and then we cut to Elektra. She wakes up looking for Matt. She's overtaken by a sense of dread. And she reaches into her boot and she grabs something from it and starts running out of the cabin. Daredevil and Nikos, they're downstairs. They're in the middle of the grand ballroom. More armed men are filling the room. Nikos is ready to go down fighting. Daredevil's standing right next to him. Daredevil convinces him to take cover. He's going to take care of everything. Daredevil convinces him to take cover, you know, because of Elektra. Like, don't leave her by herself. He kind of knows. He carried out. He has, like, he's already married to. He's already engaged to this girl. I don't think he wants her to lose her father. So he's thinking ahead. Daredevil's facing down these assassins. And then, boom, coming through the window, half naked, clutching a sigh, is Elektra. And then, yeah.
Keeps it in her boot?
Yeah, it's in her boot. It's in her boot. She has a sigh in her boot.
I love that she has to be half naked.
Yeah, I like how it says half naked, clutching a sigh, animal ferocity in her eyes.
Yeah, I left that out. Animal ferocity.
I love that she like grabbed the sigh from her boot and didn't put on the boots. Like it's right there. Just
Or, like,
put it on. Like put on your clothes.
Yeah, you're going outside. There's snow. It's got to be
true.
cold. What the hell?
This is
I
true.
get you're trying to be heroic, but like you're gonna die.
And sexy.
Of,
She has
like,
to be
exposure.
heroic and sexy.
Yeah.
So one of these assholes sneaks in behind them and fires a grenade launcher in the house, knocking Elektra out. But of course, Daredevil manages to survive unaffected. Nikos is gone. He's kind of taken off. I guess he got scared and, you know, ran for his life. And then we cut to this limousine racing across a frozen lake. And Wilson Fisk is in the back with Nikos with his diamond cane pressed against his chest. You know, his iconic diamond-topped cane, that kind of thing. And he says to him, he goes, it's not my way. It's not my way to get personally involved in these matters. He tells Nikos, but for you, my old friend, I had to. Oh, thanks, man. You're such a good friend. Thank you for being here so you could kill me. You know, you could have been a better friend and not kill me, but it's okay. At least you're here to kill me. This will be better. So he's got this cane against his chest, and Kingpin says, it's not my way to get personally involved in these matters, he tells Nikos. But for you, old friend, I had to. You deserve this much. Wilson, the stunned Nikos, says, how can you do this? You're more than my friend. You've been a brother to me. And that brother, he says, will mourn you. Wilson Fisk will weep for you. But the Kingpin, his eyes ice over, the Kingpin will see you in hell. Damn.
That's actually a dope line.
Yeah,
That is a dope
I love
line.
that.
That is a dope line. And that's savage, dude. That is savage.
Yeah.
If you're going to kill your friend, tell him he's going to hell.
To do, man.
Yeah. Yep. And then the car gets to Nikos' private airstrip. So not only does he have a country house, he has his own private airstrip. Shit. Fisk and his goons get out. Fisk jumps out of the car, pulls out this like sophisticated grenade thing from his pocket, throws it under the car, and says, "May God have mercy on your soul." He says, and then mine. And he says, mine. And then the grenade detonates, and the car explodes, and the limo sinks into the ice below, or the frigid water below. And then it cuts inside. Nikos is obviously trying to save himself. And we see Daredevil kind of doing parkour again through the woods. He's in pursuit. he can see a helicopter taking off, and he picks up on the distinctive scent and heartbeat of the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. He throws out his billy club cable, catches the underside of the copter, and swings up onto the roof. Okay, I gotta talk about this, because this makes no sense.
Mhm.
How are you gonna swing up onto the roof of a helicopter with a rotor? Like, how does that happen?
Is that what they said, or is it like the roof of the building that the helicopter is taking off from?
I don't know. He says he throws out his billy club cable, catches the underside of the copter, and swings up onto the roof.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's because the underside of the copter is on the roof. I don't know.
And then
I guess
he
it depends on how much momentum you have and what angle you're coming at.
No,
it
no.
No,
But
it
there's
doesn't.
a propeller that chops the shit out of you and
Oh,
turns you
right.
into ground beef.
Yeah, it's a rotor.
But I think it's the roof of like the helicopter pad, right? Like it's on the helicopter's on the roof. He lands on said roof, right? And then he comes crashing through.
The next line will cast that into doubt. It says Fisk's men open fire, shooting through the roof.
Okay,
Maybe he means like the windshield of the copter.
Yeah,
Well, that's the other part that comes next.
Maybe
Yeah, Daredevil comes crashing through the windshield.
We've solved the issue. This is why this movie was never made. Because they're like, what special effects do you need for this scene? I'm canceling your movie.
That was it.
Well, it would have been hard enough for them to do the Twin Towers.
Jean-Marc's on the phone. He's
crazy.
Like, comes crashing.
Jean-Marc's on the phone with Chris Columbus. And he's like, listen, I need Daredevil to be able to go through a helicopter rotor without getting cut. Okay? He has to land on that helicopter. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. But yeah, Daredevil comes crashing through the front windshield, goes straight for Fisk. He wants to kill this dude. Fisk points out Nachios isn't on the copter. Didi reaches out with his senses. He can feel the ice kind of rapidly closing on top of the car, and he can hear Nikos' fading heartbeat. Didi's torn between the hunger for vengeance and the desire to save Nikos. And there's this flashback to young Matt on the night of Jack Murdoch's. I love this. I think this is amazing juxtaposition.
Nice. Yes.
On the night of Jack Murdoch's death.
The gap.
Yeah. Racing through the streets, desperate to save his father's life. And then we cut back to now as Daredevil releases as Daredevil releases Fisk and dives for the ice. And Fisk's men are firing as he's kind of diving into the water. The ice is sealing, but he uses his billy club to keep the gap open and dive in and save Nikos.
I don't know though, like both Daredevil and Fisk had an opportunity to kill their targets, but like chose to not, because it's like, oh, I have to kill you, but instead of shooting you in the face, I'm gonna blow out the car from underneath you.
They made it in
so elaborate, and then like Daredevil's in the helicopter. Yes, I have to go save the dude. Dude, okay, it doesn't take that long to kill someone. Stab him in the throat and then go save the dude. Like, I don't know. It's this weird like comic book thing where it's like there's the cool choice, but then there's also practicality, and it's like it doesn't really track with real life.
Yeah, no, that's probably one of the weaker elements of this scene. Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah, no, it is, it is needlessly complex. Like it is needlessly convoluted. Yeah. It's like, why can't they just, kill each other and get it over with? It's a very James Bond-esque kind of like thing. Like without,
don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I like the whole like Fisk's line of defense is like forcing Matt to leave him to go save somebody else. But that would be only cool if you planned it all along and not like, oh, I'm trying to kill this dude. Like I'm trying to kill Nikos. I fail at doing that, and then I like use it to save my life from Daredevil, which doesn't make any sense either, because I like Daredevil had a hold of him, which he could kill. And yeah, anyways. So yeah, I don't know. I think they would have had to rewrite this scene if this movie ever actually happened.
Yeah, I think this one would have to be written too, for sure. So Didi kicks open the car window, pulls Nikos out. We see that he's been shot in the chest and blood is pooling out. Dee Dee swims him upwards. The billy club is snapping. The ice plane's about to. So he kept the ice open with the billy club. That's also a very he put a lot of faith in that billy club, and that the ice would change the position of that. But I guess that again, needless complication.
Yeah.
Dee Dee gets Nikos up to safety, barely gets himself out when the club snaps and the ice seals. Of course, Nikos dies in Daredevil's arms. And then they do another contrast flashback with Jack Murdock dying in young Matt's arms. And Elektra races up, sees her father lying there, and drops to her knees. And this is, I don't know if I agree with this one, but Daredevil removing his mask to reveal to Elektra who he is at this moment was kind of like, I don't know. Well, then again, she could probably put fucking 2 and 2 together, like, right?
Yeah, at this point, like, I feel like Nikos knew it was him because he had asked him previous in the house, like, is my daughter safe?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Right? So I feel like, at this point, how could you not put 2 and 2 together, even if he didn't have his mask off, because you would be like, where did Matt go? Why did he leave me in the middle of this, like, cabin alone in the middle of the night?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense then. So it's more like removing his mask to confirm Elektra's suspicions. That's more what it should say. And she's freaking the fuck out. She's crying her eyes out. And then we cut to the funeral.
He probably also did it to comfort her. Like, her dad just died.
Yeah.
And he's there. And they're engaged now. That too. So, I guess.
So this scene ends up cutting to a cemetery scene. So it's a few days later. Elektra and Fisk is beside her, and they're watching Nikos's coffin being lowered into the ground. And Matt is also there with Foggy, and he's kind of standing away. And when he approaches her after, she's like, why are you here? And he's like, it's because I love you. And, he goes through this whole thing. And she's like, what is love? Love doesn't exist.
There's no place in this world for talk of love. Yes,
yeah,
that's exactly what she says.
Exactly what she says.
Yeah.
Except for 2 minutes after meeting someone. That's appropriate time for love.
That is true. And he kind of keeps saying, like, I know how you feel. And she's like, you don't know how I feel. No one knows how I feel. And, Matt says, like, you're turning to Fisk, like, you're turning to this guy. And she says that, he's the only family I have left. And Daredevil's all like, well, that family of yours kind of killed your dad. And she's like, no, he did not. He's family. It's sort of like she doesn't really believe him. And he even swears to her, like, I saw him do this. And, for a second, she's like, you saw him, like, you're just covering yourself up. Like, you're just covering up, like, your failings and everything else. And kind of goes like, I know William Fisk. I don't know you. Like, who are you? And I'm thinking, girl, you just, like, kind of agreed to marry him the other day. So, like, this is all, they're really at a pivotal point in their relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like a promise ring and not an engagement ring. Maybe we read the notion of the ring wrong.
That is very true. It could have been that.
Yeah,
but it basically,
so
Elektra's like, this is the person I know. I know him. I don't know you. I saw you with my dead father. So,
I gotta say, I like the Ben Affleck version better. Where, like, they successfully pit Elektra against Daredevil, and then she fights him. And then, like, there's this cool thing where they don't know. Like, she doesn't know Matt Murdock is Daredevil, and then they actually fight each other, which results in her dying. Like, I thought that was a much cooler way than this. This kind of feels weird. Like, everybody's motivations are kind of everywhere in this scene, right?
Yeah, but even in the 2003 version, Daredevil never had the skill to kill somebody with a billy club.
What do you mean never had? So, like,
that was a bullseye thing.
You mean?
Right? Yeah,
it was
Nikos.
bullseye. He was framed. Yeah. He was framed.
Yeah, I know.
But I like the fact that, like, they were pit against each other. Elektra and Daredevil were pit against each other, and they had to fight each other. Remember?
Yeah.
And like, I like that much better than this, where it's like she kind of blames him for her father dying, but, like, doesn't want revenge, but wants to go to the actual, like, it's just weird. At least the other one, like, they were successfully manipulated, and here she just kind of, like, resigned to the lie and not, like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but there's a much grander scheme at play here too, right? And I think this grand scheme it kind of justifies all these kind of small little missteps. but we'll get into that because it kind of reveals itself
Mm.
farther into the third act. But you'll definitely start to see shades of it now.
I know
Yeah.
exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about, but like it doesn't justify this scene. Like it's not very believable for the character, even if it's a ruse. It's
Yeah.
not believable for the character to have that cover for the ruse because there's no way people would behave this way. It's just I don't know. Anyways, let's continue.
No problem.
Well, after this scene, we actually cut to a little mini scene. It's at the dead of night. There's trucks driving into a warehouse where John Mackey is, supervising the opening of crates, a real important job. He had to be there for it. And the first shipment of weapons Kingpin purchased from Von Strucker are in these crates, right?
Yep.
So we have that going on. And the very same night, it cuts to another scene on a fog and shroud pier, and a figure clambers up out of water, half naked, burned and scarred. Does anyone want to guess who that could be?
Electra?
Yeah, it's Nikos. He's back from the dead.
It's Nikos.
No.
He's back from the dead.
It is
Zombie
It
Nikos.
is Bullseye with an insane grin and blazing eyes that it could incinerate a man's soul. I really do love how that is phrased. Like this sort of manic, like if you thought he was crazy before.
Yeah, again, a very Joker thing, if you ask me. But I like it. I like this Bullseye character so far.
I think the burned and scarred part also lends to the Joker.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I definitely feel that way for sure. So after this warehouse scene, there's a little bit more context to that. Kingpin's still trying to consolidate power, but now it's stretched across the entire U.S. He wants to control the entire criminal organized crime apparatus across the country. He wants to control everything. So he's getting all these weapons so he can basically take out his detractors, his opposers. And then Elektra is staying with the Kingpin now. And they're like hanging out and they're bonding over their loss. And Kingpin's talking about his wife, Vanessa, and she's talking about her dad. And they're finding this comfort in each other. And they're spending a lot of time together. And then Kingpin begins this slow kind of seduction, praising her and asking her to join him, like to be a part of his plan, to be a part of his ambitions. Because I think he sees in her what Elektra is, which is a weapon. Like, I think he's already seen that. I think he already has an idea as to the second life that she leads. And he definitely knows that she trains and all that kind of shit. So I think he sees her as a valuable asset. Now, Matt's life has kind of, he's calling her and trying to get her to talk to him, and it's not really going that well. Meanwhile, his office has basically become like a refuge for the damned. Everybody and their grandmother who has a shitty landlord or some sort of legal fiasco is showing up on his and Foggy's doorstep at the office, asking for help, and they're helping out as many people as they possibly can. And then we get, shit. And then Matt gets a call from good old John Mackey, because John Mackey wants to sit down and talk to Matt about getting some sort of witness protection because he's going to betray the Kingpin. He's going to talk about Nikos' death. And Matt specifically says to him, he goes, "You know about that?" And he says, "Yeah." And he's like, once the Kingpin killed his best friend, he's like, I had no trust in the guy anymore. He's like, if he can kill his best friend, what the fuck's he going to do to me, right? So.
Finally, a realistic henchman. I love these like henchmen that watch their overlord kill like another henchman who failed him even the slightest, and then they just stay anyway. Like, how much is this motherfucker paying you guys? Like, finally a realistic. Anyways,
I agree with that, Chris. I agree with that. Like, henchmen can be so poorly written at times, but this is probably one of the more realistic interpretations of a good henchman that I've seen. They actually kind of see the writing on the wall and they actually take action from it. So I guess Elektra gets an idea in her head that Mackey is kind of turning tail on Kingpin. So she more or less goes after him, and Daredevil's watching Mackey as he's being transported back to his brownstone, and he runs into her and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" astonished. He's like, Bullseye's dead, so you're going to take his place. You're going to be his assassin. And she kicks him twice in the head, and he falls down. They crash through the skylight. Daredevil's in pursuit. Mackie awakens. Elektra's standing over him in bed with a sigh, ready to kill him. And she delivers this line. It's kind of cheesy, but it's like, you have betrayed your king, she says, and for that, there must be payment. And Elektra starts to bring it down to stab him, and then boom, Billy Club swats it away. Elektra turns just as Daredevil leaps forward and grabs her. Mackie takes off, justifiably, because he's probably scared shitless. Not only is Daredevil in his bedroom, but now there's a half-naked chick with a sigh. So I'm sure that's causing the anxiety to
Some
peak.
confusion.
Yeah, some confusion.
I'd be confused. I'd be like, is this,
We're like, get a room,
guys.
Yeah, so Daredevil and Elektra, their battle kind of tumbles out onto the fire escape of the brownstone, and he tries to get through to her, but she just wants to hurt him. So she slices him with the sai, cuts open, I think, his costume around his chest, and delivers a spinning double kick. What's a spinning double kick, Chris?
I don't know, man. That could mean anything.
You spin and you kick him twice. I'm picturing like a jump, like she's jumping and doing like a spin kick. I don't know.
Okay.
So I don't know though.
So this takes Daredevil out. He's lying flat on his back, and she delivers this line that I really like. And she's like, "How do you know?" Or because obviously Matt. Okay, I don't have the exact phrasing when Matt asked her. So just tracking back real quick, Daredevil asked her, wanted to know, and I think this is in quotes, why is she doing this, serving a devil like Fisk after all he's done? And she responds, "How do you know?" After she's kicked his ass, she responds, "How do you know?" Elektra says with a sneer, "that the devil doesn't serve me." She leans in close, kisses Daredevil, a kiss of, and it's quoted as this, "a kiss of such naked passion, such unexpected lavishness that Daredevil is taken back." And then Elektra pulls away, races off, and by the time Daredevil scrambles to his feet, she's gone.
Damn, she knows how to make an exit. This girl knows how to make an exit. Let's be honest.
She's just messing with him at this point.
She's fucking with him, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at this point in the movie, we don't really know where her head's at because she's with, Fisk, and you described that scene earlier, how like her and Fisk were talking. The thing that was kind of creepy about that scene is that she's in bed talking to Fisk, and Fisk is like sitting at the corner of her bed, which I'm like, oh, I don't like that. Your dad and him are like best buds. That's super creepy. And then over here, she seems to be doing Fisk's work for him. So we don't really know where her head is at. And then obviously that's reflected. Like Matt doesn't understand what seems to be going on with her either.
Nope. Because you just kissed him. And then she said this line, like, how do you know he's not working for me? Or how do you know I'm not using him? Right? Like, and obviously that's something to be considered. But what does, what's her end game with this? That's the cool thing about dropping this line in the second act that I like about it. So Kingpin sends his goons to LA to find Don Macchio, who's like the California crime boss, and he attacks his house with that giant crab thing, the crab the crab tank, the crab legs and all that kind of shit. And apparently there's a microwave laser attached to it, or a microwave cannon. And they open a microwave cannon. And they open fire. This is very Bondish for sure. And they open fire on Macchio and all of his men. And instead of like killing them, he microwaves their insides. So they start to bubble from the inside out. So this could be delicious. This could be pretty graphic. And I put Macchio and his men are being microwaved like their insides are like a burrito. That's what I put. But pretty fucked up.
I put PG-13 ?
Yeah, no, for sure. And then we cut back to this weird scene to kind of establish that Elektra's left the ring and been in Matt's apartment while he's sleeping. I don't know why they just didn't do this. Why didn't she just take the ring off when she was fighting him and make the point there instead of this, like, she was in my apartment.
The kiss, walk away. Yeah, and then like sneak into his apartment, she's she's covering all her bases.
I guess.
Just leaving him wanting more, I guess. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know. So
It is a lot. Yeah.
Maybe she doesn't know what she wants. She keeps changing her mind in the moment.
Right.
yeah, so apparently she came in while he was sleeping, left the engagement ring on his pillow, and snuck out. Like straight ninja style. Mackey's alive. He calls Matt. Mackey's like, the deal's off. And the Kingpin is apparently standing right next to him. So he's kind of fucked. Fisk says he's going to forgive Mackey for betraying him. Mackey tries to explain he got scared because he killed Nachios, right? You killed your best friend. Like, what chance do I stand if you kill your best friend? Like, I'm a piece of shit henchman. Like, if you kill your best friend, like, I really don't stand the best of chances. So I understand Mackey's mentality. I really get that. But Fisk kills him, just snaps his neck, just like crack. That's it. He's dead.
Yeah.
Then we cut to a weapons delivery. We're going back to the weapons again.
I think that was a mistake. I think Elektra should have killed. Him.
Killed Mackey?
To solidify her like
a blood bond?
You
Yes,
know, like,
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Chris. I think if Elektra had killed Mackey, then it would have solidified in Daredevil's mind that she's gone to the dark side.
She's all
dude.
in. She's all in.
Yeah,
right?
she's gone to the dark side. But that didn't happen. And the only thing, and plus, like, he's totally fucking confused right now. One, she kissed him. Two, she comes and drops the fucking engagement ring on his pillow. Like, mixed messages. Like, holy shit. Like, I don't know.
This has only been like a span of a few days, and this is a very tumultuous relationship.
It is, dude. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. like this is almost like the definition of a toxic relationship. Like, maybe you guys shouldn't be together.
It's very toxic.
You know? Maybe you guys shouldn't be together.
Well, I guess that's what she's realizing, that she needs something else.
Yeah.
And is that person Fisk? We'll see.
We'll see. All right, so our hero finds one of Fisk's weapon deliveries at a private airport. I believe that's the setting for it. And Daredevil's not looking too good, guys. Matt seems to be kind of suffering under the weight of this loss of Elektra. He's got 3 days worth of beard. He's got a dirty costume on. He tells Fisk goons to pass a message.
Laundry.
Sorry?
Dude, do your laundry. Like,
No shit, right? Plus, like, if you have a dirty costume, like, you know, are people really going to be that scared of you if you can't even clean your own fucking clothes? Like, come on. I don't know. So he tackles Fisk goons and he's like, pass a message on to the Kingpin. It's over. This ends now. And this is the one that I can't handle. He's deflecting bullets with his billy club. Since when can Daredevil deflect bullets with a billy club?
Right, yeah. He can occasionally dodge one. He's not he's not that fast.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
He's not a speedster.
He's not a speedster, no. He is very acrobatic though. He is like a total ninja, and then he says, "Tell him that I will not sleep anymore, I will not eat anymore, and I will not wash my clothes anymore." No, I'm kidding. He says, "I will live for He says, "I will live for one thing and one thing alone, to destroy him." All right, Daredevil. Okay. So within
but
10
you need to eat, bro. Like, anyway.
No, go
That's
ahead.
just my comment.
No, go ahead.
Being like, you need to eat and sleep. You know, you need to do that sometimes.
Yeah, like if I was Kingpin, I'd be like, okay, so you're gonna come to me starving and thirsty?
Bring
I'm
it.
not scared of that.
Bring it. Exactly.
I'll just knock you over.
Bring it. Yeah,
But
come
I
on,
get
emaciated
it.
Daredevil.
It is a very like superhero. It is a very superhero line though. It very much like is part of the flow. Like, you know, these like kind of grand statements.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go on record and say they should drop that out of the superhero vocabulary because Chris makes a great point. Like if somebody was going to fight me and it's like, listen, I'm going to fight you in 10 days, but from this point forward, I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to sleep and I'm not going to do anything to prepare myself. I'd be like, okay, let's do it. And then you would show up and I would push you over and you'd fall on your ass and it would be all over. Within 10 seconds, all of Fisk's goons are completely unconscious. Dee Dee's standing over them like a rabid dog. And then there's applause. And Dee Dee spins around and Bullseye, back from the dead, is wearing this super style suit
Dun, dun, dun.
with a big bullseye on it. He's wearing the bullseye suit. He's like, what do you think?
Yeah.
He spins around like a runway model. I designed it myself. He jumps. I know, right? Hilarious.
I love the thought of him with like a little knitting kit, so like some thread, some needle, going to
I
fabric
feel like
land.
it works. Yeah.
Mom, I can't get this bullseye straight. Can you help me? Come on. Yeah.
Cutting circles is hard.
Cutting circles
Imagine
is
if
tough,
the circles
dude.
were like uneven.
That is true.
Cutting circles is tough, man. It really is. He jumps off the truck. He approaches Daredevil. But you are my inspiration, old buddy. He laughs. You the man. Oh my God, he said, you the man. Oh my God. All right. He's like, Del Toro, you're alive? And Daredevil's astonished. He's backing up cautiously, ready for Bullseye to strike. Not alive, born again. Oh my God.
Oh.
And then Daredevil should be like, confess your sins. And then everybody says their tagline because this movie's full of fucking slogans.
Not alive, Bullseye says, born again. He looks at the unconscious goons and says, I've always suspected we belong to the same church. He circles Daredevil warily, launching into a perfect imitation of Wilson Fisk. And don't call me Del Toro. I want to know more about this imitation of Wilson Fisk. What exactly is he doing? Pushing out his belly and slapping it?
Yeah.
Like, what's he doing? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
And don't call me Del Toro. The name is Bullseye. And he laughs like a maniac, like Joker. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And as the two enemies are circling each other, Daredevil whips out his billy club. Come on, says Bullseye. You don't need that. I don't work for Fat Boy anymore. I'm like you. I operate on my own. You're not like me, Daredevil says. Come on, get real. We both like to dress for success. We both like to work outside the law. And we're both doing it for the same reasons. And what reasons are those? For the thrill of it. For the dare. We see a line, we have to cross it. We see an edge, we have to go over it. I serve justice, Daredevil says, but even he doesn't sound convinced. And Bullseye says, you served yourself. I saw your face when you let me drop off that bridge. No hard feelings, by the way. I would have done the same. And I knew we were one and the same, but there's one thing you still need to develop. What's that? A sense. Bullseye slaps a button on his belt, strikes a Lord Byron pose. What's a Lord Byron pose at theater? What the fuck is that?
Like in the the portrait?
Lord Byron?
Do explain, Saba, because I have no idea either.
Is that when somebody puts one hand up in the air and one hand on their belt? That kind of thing? I don't know. Maybe we'll post a photo of it on our Instagram.
I think that could be it. Like, I don't really know. Like, I mean, Lord Byron's known for being like a poet and stuff. I've never really known him for his poses. Anyway,
okay.
We know that he likes theatrics, is what we can.
He's asking Daredevil to be more theatric. That's exactly what he's doing. Yes. So DD picks up this radio signal in his hypersenses, and the tripping of switches, and all the trucks on the runway explode in unison. Fireball after fireball after fireball. Daredevil's on the ground. Wreckage is falling all around him. He hears laughter, but when he gets up, Bullseye is gone. Now, again, this is a very Heath Ledger kind of Joker thing to do, if you ask me. That's kind of the vibe I get from it, but
yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, like like this whole explosion thing definitely sounds very. It doesn't sound so much Bullseye to me. Like, I don't like Chris. Have you ever read read a comic where Bullseye used explosives?
No, not at all. I think, I would think that he'd be like, above that, right? Like he'd probably like scoff at people who use explosives because it's like a messy thing, and he's all about like the art of I don't know. It's weird.
Precision.
It's weird to me for sure.
Yeah, he's a precision guy,
exactly.
right? But
Yeah.
anyways,
He's
so
a surgeon.
Matt goes back to the office instead of going to get medical attention. Apparently, he's looking beaten and disheveled, and he walks into the office. He tells Foggy to take that job at MTV that he was offered, and then Matt quits. Matt just up and quits. He's like, I quit. I'm done. And then Karen tries to reason with him and change his mind, but to no avail. And then Karen gets in his face. He's like, you can't. Just walk away from all this. Remember what you told DA Tower? This is where you came from. These people need you. These people need something that I can't give anymore, Matt says. Is this all because of that woman, Karen says? Matt, I know you. And Matt fucking loses his shit. He's like, you don't know me, Karen. You've never been able to see behind these glasses. He takes off his dark glasses, throws them to the ground, crushes them. The eyes that stare at Karen's are demons, blind and raging. Well, look, Karen, take a good look at who I really am. She turns away. He grabs her, forces her to face him. Look at me. And then Matt realizes what he'd done. He's sickened, horrified, and mutters, but he can't even apologize. And then we cut to... Does somebody else want to pick up here?
Okay, so we cut to the top of New York again. So it's Fisk and Elektra, and they're in formal attire in the ballroom, but there's only them two. So obviously they just got dressed up for each other, I guess. And they seem happy or at peace. And in question mark, it says, in love? And, you know, Fisk is talking to her about, like, Don Maggio, saying things in the council are going well. Since I've, like, made an example of him, people are falling in line. But we still have a problem. And Elektra says, what is it? And it's kind of obvious. Fisk says, Daredevil. You know, something set him off. He seems like a man possessed, totally out of control. And he tells Elektra, kill him. You know, bring all those glorious skills of yours to bring down our Mask Galahad, which I love that line. And she pauses.
Mask Galahad, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great line. And she says, is tonight soon enough? And he says, tonight, Fisk says, a 300-pound Fred Astaire whirling a samurai Ginger Rogers would be delightful. Which I just think is a really great visual, you know, and it's this really interesting seeing how they're playing them up. And this is kind of something I had an issue with, this Fisk and Elektra dynamic, only because it did not seem too believable to me that, like, this young, obviously beautiful, radiant woman we could see her leaning on Fisk as a father figure, not so much as a romantic figure. You know, it feels a little icky, but obviously as we get to the story, we'll see more of, like, that making sense. But it's kind of the vibe I get from it. Like, this whole scene is like, oh, ick.
Well, yeah, if she's playing him, then it makes sense. And he's, like, cocky, so he would think that anyone could fall in love with him, or his skill. He's such a charmer.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've sometimes been attracted to an older man, so I don't know. I could see how that
Was
could
that
go
older
that
man
way.
friends with your dad, though? Like, best friends with your dad?
I've been attracted to friends of my friends' dads.
Oh, interesting. I've never, that's not a thing that I have felt in my life up until this point.
Or like friends' uncles. It's happened.
Okay, interesting.
Anyway, we're gonna cut to Matt
Moving on.
Yeah. So we cut to Matt Murdock's apartment straight from that scene. So, you know, Matt's tired. He's waking up of another nightmare. This breakup is really getting to him. He's sweating, shaking, and he walks towards the back room, towards his mother's shrine. So I guess he has this shrine of his mother there, but then turns away and heads to the kitchen instead, and, you know, goes to drink some juice, and a sigh touches his throat. And he says, how long have you been there unsurprised? I've been watching you sleep, Elektra says. You know, apparently it's a hobby of hers.
Okay, what is... Everybody's so creepy in this movie.
No, right? But it's okay if Elektra does it because she's hot.
It is okay if Elektra does it.
Ain't that the rule?
Yeah. Double standard. It's okay.
And so, yeah. And so he says, you know, what do you want? And she's like, I want you to leave New York, and I want you to forget I've ever existed. And he replies, what if I don't do that? And it's very much, like, obvious, you know. She moves the blade slowly across his throat, a minor cut, and then again Elektra's gone, just disappears. But she knows Matt, and despite her warning, like, he's not going anywhere except after her, is what it goes to. So we have this whole, like, you know, it's really building up to this showdown, you know, and it's kind of like she left to, like, it's like, chase me, you know what I mean? Like, she knows. So guys, this is where it gets, you know, we're getting to, like, the final scene in Act 2, and, you know, we cut to a wild storm, you know, torrential rains, heavy winds, thunder and lightning, you know, daredevils in pursuit across the city, you know, going through buildings and sewers and whatnot. And she's trying everything, Elektra, to sort of lose him. But they finally meet each other. You know, they're facing each other on top of Manhattan Bridge. You know, this is the place where he had his first confrontation with Bullseye. So it's a callback to that. And it says here in the treatment, it's very interesting. It says he's let Matt Murdock die, he tells her. All he has now is the devil's mask. The demon his father warned him against has stolen his soul. But if he can have her, maybe there's hope for him. With Elektra at his side, he could forget Fisk, forget everything he's ever wanted or will be. Their love is all that matters. You know, which is like,
Yeah,
no.
I really have trouble when I hear these kind of things because it's like I don't like when anybody wants to give up who they are for anybody, whether it's a man or a woman. I just that really kind of rubs me the
Yeah.
wrong way. I just, you know, if you're in this for a sense of justice, you know, granted Elektra may be quieting the demons, but there's this crazy brain chemical called dopamine and serotonin. You know, read up on them. Not people listening. I'm talking to Matt Murdock. Like, you know, you should understand, you know, why you kind of feel this way, especially if you're proposing to a woman after the first night you meet her. Like, this guy needs a relationship counselor more than anything. You know, Matt's.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Matt, the entirety of Act 1 was like establishing Matt's as a man of principle based on his relationship with his dad. And he kind of creates this like new version of Matt Murdock as a promise to his father to be good and to stand up for justice and to fight the demons. And then he just abandons all of that, quits his job, quits his this is the all that matters now. Like all of Act 1, all of that character development's out the window now because you proposed to a girl after the first date.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
the only thing I can...
He's Ted Mosby.
He is Ted
like
Mosby.
From How I Met Your Mother.
He is Ted Mosby.
That's so true.
Yeah. This is Ted Mosby. Exactly.
But the only thing I could see kind of, I do agree with you, Chris and Frank, that yeah, this is a lot. The only thing that I kind of see as like a way it could make sense is that when she was opening up about her life, and then also like having her father die in his arms, it's like, this person can understand me. Like maybe this is the one person in the world who can get me, you know, because there's been a lot of traumatic things that have happened. So in that sense, like people tend to lean on each other and things like that. But I do also agree, it does seem quite quick for sure.
Yep.
But we're kind of getting to the meat of the scene. So, you know, he says, you know, our love is all that matters. So Elektra approaches him. He has been her hope, she says. She saw in him a man of dreams and ideals, fighting against his demons, triumphing over them. She loves him in a way she's never loved before. Every cell in her body burns for him. I kind of feel like I'm reading a fan fiction. At this point, I love like this treatment. I think it's written really well, but this, like, the romance part does ring like a fan fiction a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely over romanticized for sure. But the other thing is, okay, the way that men and women relate, especially a woman like Elektra, and especially why she likes Matt, right? She's saying right now, that she was attracted to him because he was a man of his ideals, like a man of principle, right? That's basically what she's saying. But the minute that he goes and says, listen, like, I'm willing to give up everything just for you, Elektra would be completely unattracted to him. Like, if he compromises who he is to be with her, he's no longer going to have her. Like, and granted, I know that this is a fiction story and people do things that aren't necessarily.
I think, Frank, you make a pretty valid point there as well with sort of the emotions, feelings. But I guess at this point, they seem to have such a strong connection that it seems kind of foregone. I don't really know, but she does say to him, you know, like, perhaps with Matt's help, she can crawl away from her demons, embrace the light. Like, it's this thought that she's having. And finally, they kiss. And from all the description, we don't really have a description here other than they kiss. But from every other description, you know, you have, it's probably the most wonderful thing in the world. Both of them have never kissed
every atom
like
of their
this
body
before.
burns with the
rainbows
intensity
in
of the
universe.
sun.
It's
God, whatever.
Whole thing going on, and you know, it seems to be going perfect. But then all of a sudden, a look of astonishment crosses Daredevil's face. Something has happened. But what? Who knows? That's the end of Act 2.
It was a French kiss.
That's it. That's it.
That was funny.
That's it. She gave him a reach around while they were kissing. That's what happened. She just grabbed his junk.
Oh, jeez. All of that black leather. Red leather.
She grabbed his billy club. That's what happened.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Not a Billy Club euphemism.
Yep. Lots of billy club euphemisms.
It took us 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of us.
I know that we're really, like, you know, kind of going through this, and it seems like we're nitpicking, but I do think this treatment is really fun.
Yeah, I love this treatment.
Yeah,
I love it.
Fun read.
Yeah, and as far as the decisions he makes for the characters, as far as the interactions and the dynamics between them, I think it's great. Obviously, this is just a treatment. Like the way that it would play out in a script, especially after a third, fourth, fifth rewrite, like that's typically what these guys go through. I think this thing could be great. Like I really think it has a lot of potential. You know, I think the one troublesome thing out of Act 2 that kind of stands out for me is the scene where Nikos dies. You know, the whole thing about just being complicated for the sake of being complicated. You know, the Bond style kind of death, right? Whether it be for whether it be for Nikos or whatever, like it just didn't make really a ton of sense. Like the whole throwing the grenade underneath the car, it was kind of dramatic for the sake of being dramatic, you know? But yeah.
Agreed. For me, it's Elektra's justification for going to Kingpin after everything that happened. It's just like you could get there. There just wasn't enough justification.
Well, not yet.
In the actual.
Well,
treatment.
not yet. Yeah.
Well, no. I'm talking about like for the scene, right?
Oh.
Like you can't just like justify something and then reveal it later. Like you have to do, even if it's like a fake justification in the beginning, you still have to justify it so that the audience can track your character's decision making. You can't just leave an empty like a question mark of like, why would she do this, and then wait until Act 5 to reveal it. You gotta give them a fake justification or whatever, right? That's what I mean. It's just like there wasn't enough to like make it believable for Elektra, any version of Elektra, to actually make this choice to go back to Kingpin. If you're trying to preserve like some twist or something.
Yeah, no.
But anyways.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. No, you make a solid point. So far, I'm really excited by this treatment. And really, this is the only treatment that we're going to get to do with our comic books that could have been series. So we hope you guys come back for Act 3, because it's definitely fun. It's exciting. There's a lot of payoffs at the end, I think, and personally. And yeah, I think you guys will enjoy it. So make sure that you come back and you join us for part 3. Before we go, I got one ask of everybody listening out there. If you could do us a huge favor, if you could go over to Stitcher, Podchaser, or Apple Podcasts, or iTunes and drop us a review, that would be awesome. We would love you guys, because reviews help people find the show. They help people find the show, but not only that, they also provide us with real-time feedback to improve the show. And we're constantly trying to improve this show. So what better way to improve the show than, feedback from the actual listener? So if you guys could do that for us, that would be great. And of course, tell your friends about our show, send them a link, let them check it out for themselves. Tell everybody you know. I think we put some pretty good stuff together, and I think people enjoy it. So like I said, come back and join us for the next episode, but I think that's going to be it for tonight. I'm Frank McGuire.
Saba Mir.
I'm Chris Sabina.
I'm Christina Didymas.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Peace.